Welcome back to the channel, The Professor's Workshop with Dr. Rick and Simon. Today we're going to be tackling a project that will make your neighbors jealous, and that is going to be installing these permanent Eve lights by Lumary. These bad boys mean no more climbing ladders every Christmas, Halloween, or any other holiday you want to celebrate. They can even be used every other day of the year to highlight the architectural features of your home, and I'll show you all of that in today's video.
Now, Dad says these are super easy to install, but I know my dad, and he's going to mess something up.
Not true. Okay, maybe true, but by the time we're done, this place is going to shine like a stadium on game night. In today's video, we're going to cover the unboxing, the installation, the setup, some tips, and I'll even show you how to set the app up and use that, because let's be real, if you can't control it via the couch, you're probably not going to use it.
Poop. Gotcha.
Let's go.
Alright folks, today is the day. We're unboxing the Lumary Permanent Eave Lights, and if you've been around my channel for a while, then you know holiday lighting is kind of my thing. Quick backstory, this whole channel blew up because of Christmas lights. My very first viral video got over 300,000 views, showing you how to outline your house with custom lights. And then nearly 500,000 of you tuned in to watch me build a flying ghost for Halloween. I even run a company called the Christmas Light Doctor where I do professional installations. So yeah, when it comes to making houses sparkle, I've got a little bit of experience here. Now these Lumary lights cover a whopping 158 feet. They have 120 individual RGB AI lights, and they say they've got over 16 million color combinations. Now I laugh because that sounds insane, but let's be honest, most of us will probably only use like 10 of those different settings. What I'm really excited about seeing is how these lights stack up against my $5,000 Gemstone permanent lights that I installed on the eaves of my home 4 years ago. Do that comparison later in the video, so stick around for that. My first impressions, this box is heavy, like literally heavy, but in a good way. You know when you buy something and it just feels cheap right out of the gate? This is the opposite. You can tell they've actually put some thought into the packaging and the build quality here. So throughout this video, I'm going to be explaining a lot about these specific lights. I'll share some tips and tricks for installation and setup. And listen, if you got questions, drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to help out however I can. What you have to take into consideration is wherever your lights end, that's where your power supply is going to be. So you got to have power there. I was going to wrap around this column, and then the lights terminate about 8 feet down onto the roof line here. But you see, I'm going to have that white cord draped and come all the way down the side of the brick, back underneath the patio to my electrical outlet. That's no bueno. Now I've been sick for the past few months, and so I recruited some help for this project because I didn't feel comfortable or safe out working on the roof by myself. So while they clean out some debris from the gutters, I decide that I'm gonna take a break. The dilemma I'm pondering here is if I end my lights up top on this end, I'm gonna have to drill through the hardy plank board into the attic and then find power.
I can't decide if I want to run my electrical wire through the side of the roof there into the attic, which means my power supply is going to start there, or if I want to end on the other side. I'm trying to hide that cord, especially against the roof, because the cord is white. Otherwise I'm going to need to paint the cord. So I think we're going to start on the lower level first. Got a little bit of help with me. That's going to make this go a lot easier. We have decided to separate the back lights from the front light.
I want some separation visually between the Gemstone lights that I had installed 4 years ago in the front. You can see they look a little bit different. The spacing is a little bit off. I'm concerned the color might not match up as well with the new lights. So I don't want to run the Lumary lights all the way up to the corner of those in case that visual difference can create something that doesn't look right. So we've decided to start them over the section of new fence. So I've taken my lights and I've stretched them along the side of the house. You'll see the end that I'm working towards has the power supply. The other end has this cap. If you take this cap and you screw it on, that will make the end of your lights weatherproof, and that'll serve as the starting point for your installation. One thing I really like about these Lumary lights is how they make installation easy. So each mounting base already comes with a 3M adhesive patch pre-attached, so you just got to peel, stick, and go. If you've dealt with 3M before, this stuff grabs instantly. I had to realign a few bases during this setup, and it literally took a razor blade just to get them off. Now, if you do want some extra security, you've got the option to screw these base plates into the soffit, which is a nice touch. And speaking of extras, Lumary does send you 10 additional base plates and 10 more adhesive patches in the kit, so you've got plenty of backup. What you're seeing us do now is using the template that comes with the kit. And it even has clear instructions printed right on the back that say make sure your lights are 2 to 4 inches from the side of your house. Now I'm going to make a slight modification here so that I can create a precise yet repeatable location for each light. I'm going to take a marker to trace the exact outline of the light right onto the template, and then I'll use some scissors to cut it out. That way when I place it against the side of the house, I know that I can perfectly replicate the position time after time. Now's a good time to remind you that you can use the chapters that I've built into this video to skip ahead or revisit any specific part that you'd like to take a look at. Also, I've included the link to my Amazon affiliate channel to where you can purchase these if you think they'd be a good fit for your home. If you enjoyed this video or you want to see more DIY tricks like how I make it snow right here in 90-degree Texas, I'd love to have you join the channel. Hit that subscribe button and let's keep building cool stuff together. No joke, after 5 minutes of cutting that hole out in the template, I'm now labeling it towards me with an arrow. So when I place this against the soffit, I'll always have that arrow facing towards me, and that way I know that the template is in the correct orientation every single time. It should help me get my lights lined up perfectly. I've also created this groove here, and that's going to allow me to use the template with the wire here like you see, and then be able to pull the template out. Now you can see here how the template really makes installation of these foolproof. I mean, it lines them up perfectly. Here's a time-lapse video of us installing the lights. You can see it really is as simple as peel, stick, and go. The hardest part here is just going up and down that ladder and having to move the ladder. And by we, I mean by he. I'm, after all, sitting in the chair in the fan. What can I say? I might make a really good supervisor in life. Maybe I should get out of the teaching profession. You can see here we've got a nice clean install of the lights. We actually went away from the template here for this portion of the lights because we found that this center groove was consistent and almost the same size of the lights. Also, while I was supervising, found out that the lime tree is going to have limes for the first time in like 3 years. So I'm excited about that.
So we've gotten to our first point where we need to crossover, and so you can see the light. I've got one light left on the end here, and now we've run into the pergola. I don't have a way of connecting down and around the pergola. It's just not going to be on the same elevation, and I want the lights to be on the same elevation all the way across. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the extension cords that came with the light kit. And in case y'all were worried about him, he's now taking a break in the fan also. Go up. I need to get from here to there. And I'm going to use these extension cords. You can see it came with a approximate 4-foot cord, an approximate 10-foot cord, and another cord that's attached, extension cord that's attached to the lights. So I'm going to need the 10-foot cord. I will connect end to end, string the cord across, and then we'll come down that side.
Oh, and I know someone's going to ask, are these waterproof? Yep, these lights are rated IP67, which in normal human language means totally dustproof, and they can handle being dunked in up to 3 feet of water for about half an hour. And here's where following the YouTube channel of a guy with a PhD really pays off, because now you've got some completely useless knowledge for your next dinner party. Here you go. IP stands for ingress protection. The first number is dust, the second number is water. So IP67, that means dust tight, waterproof, but don't go scuba diving with them. Anyway, that's actually really solid protection for outdoor lights. Now we're going to go back and we're going to get our next section of lights and we're going to add these into the strand. I actually really appreciate how they've divided the lights into sections here, because if you ever have a problem, replacing or troubleshooting just one section is going to be way easier than ripping out an entire system. Now I'm using 1/2-inch electrical staples to do a nice smooth 90-degree turn here on the corner. You can get these at any big box store. I'm also glad I saw this guy. That would have been a disaster.
So I took a quick cool down break because it's 110 freaking degrees here in Houston, and now I am working on the first issue with architecture of how do I span this gap. My light ends here, and now I have to span the gap and get my lights here. I can try to wrap the cord around the bottom and come and hide it, make it less visible, and I can paint the cord with the same color paint to sort of hide the wiring, and then pull it up and go back this way. I can't go over because of the roof. There's nowhere for me to tuck that cord or hide it, and it's going to be super visible. The other option is to take the cord, go up through that soffit into that attic space, go over the window, and then come down the other soffit.
Now some folks would just drape this cord right across the window, staple it down, and call it good. But on this channel, we don't do shortcuts. We do professional. And by professional, I don't mean you got to have a fancy logo on your truck or you're charging people by the hour. Professional means that it looks intentional, like it was always meant to be a part of your home. So clean lines, hidden wires, nothing flapping in the breeze or hanging down like you let your cousin Eddie handle it. That's why we're using a 2-inch hole saw, going through the soffit into the attic and running these lights the right way. It does take longer, but when we're done, it won't look like the lights were just slapped up on a Friday afternoon. It'll look like they came with a house. Wow, look at that perfectly drilled circle. Michelangelo would be proud. What's that? Oh yeah, Simon says he would like to remind everybody, safety first, people. Keep your paws and your tails away from the hole saw at all times. Make sure you're wearing eye protection and a mask. This cement board is full of nasty stuff, and there's insulation up there. Before we go charging up into the attic like Indiana Jones on a bad day, here's a little trick to save some time. And in August in Texas, time is everything when you're crawling around up there in an attic. This flashlight trick is simple but genius. So we'll shine it right through this hole that we just made. And then when we go up into the attic, instead of doing the army crawl, bumping my head on rafters, second guessing my life choices, I'll just look for the beam of light. It's going to act like a homing beacon. So straight to the target where I can get in, run the wire, and get out before the attic turns into a convection oven. Trust me, this little hack will save you time and sweat. Let's be honest, anything that keeps me from spending extra minutes in a Texas attic in August, well, that's a tip worth sharing with the world. Right, Simon? Wait, he stayed down in the AC. Smart dog. All right, time to face the dragon's breath. It's August. We're in Texas. This attic is currently about the surface temperature of Mercury. Remember the flashlight trick I'm showing you right now? This is where it saves the day. Instead of wandering around up here, I'm looking for buried treasure, I can just... There it is. Beam of light shining right through. The goal, quick in, quick out. That's because if you're in a hot attic more than 10 minutes, you are going to risk heat stroke and some other stuff. So I don't want to be peeled off the rafters like one of those cinnamon rolls stuck to the pan. Now we're doing the same thing on the other side, drilling a matching hole so we can feed the wires across cleanly. Professional means symmetry, people. And there's hole number 2. At this point, I've got a PhD in soffit surgery. Now here's where it gets fun. We're improvising. That's because you use what you've got. I grabbed a mop, taped a wire to the end, and now we're just going to push it up into the attic. Now that was a genuine close call. Almost fell off an 8-foot ladder right there. And why did I tickle the mop like that? It's like I'm going to enjoy this ride. Probably heat stroke talking, but hey, whatever works. Ingenuity is 90% of this job. And there it is, our mop courier has arrived. No fishing wire, no fancy tools, just a little DIY creativity. Alright, so here's the game plan. Our trusty helper is up here looking for that mop head that we just fed in from outside. The key here is to push it up high enough so that we're not digging through mountains of insulation like a couple of prairie dogs. Now if you ever do this yourself, big safety reminder, always walk on the beams. Step on the drywall and, well, you won't be walking for long because you'll be in your living room wondering where it all went wrong. Grab the rafters above whenever you can too. It's like having an extra hand for balance. Mask up too. This insulation isn't exactly a spa treatment for your lungs. And boom, there it is. Mop Express has arrived right on schedule. The goal is to make this as quick as possible. Grab it, pull it through, and get out before this attic turns into a slow cooker. Then we're going to feed it across to the other side. Just like that, we've got wire from one side to the other, nice and clean, no digging, no mess, no holes in the ceiling. That is what I call a successful attic mission. And see that? That second flashlight we put in the new hole is shining like a runway beacon, making it super easy to know exactly where to drop that wire without having to guess or tear through insulation. Now we've got a wire run across, but to get this wire fished through the other side, we're going to go old school. Metal coat hanger. Been at the end, and now we're going to go fishing. Works just like a little fancy fish tape, but cost about $100 less. Works like a charm.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
Warning, the following images may contain scenes that viewers find disturbing, like dad bods. It was so hot, guys. I had to take a moment, take a dip in the pool, and just cool off for a bit. I think this is going to be the end of day one. We've spent several hours this afternoon getting these installed. We'll pick it back up tomorrow.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you guys. That was a lot of work, and it was really, really hot. However, sometimes you run into these issues when you work on projects, and they require some ingenuity and some thinking on your feet. And listen, I went the hard route. That's going to look so much better without having that white wire draped around that.
I gotta say though, I was blessed with this beautiful sunset after all that work. Just look at this.
So we're back at it, day 2, and a few things I want to point out. So we run into the very first instance of one of the pads not sticking because the soffit was super dirty, and the instructions do say to clean the soffit, but we went about 100 feet of house without any issues. So we've cleaned that section of the soffit with just Dawn power wash and some paper towels, and it's been quite effective at that. They do include about 10 replacement 3M sticky pads and then 5 replacement mounting brackets with sticky pads. So if you run into any of those issues, you can easily replace those.
Day 2 of this installation, and let me tell you, it's already going way smoother than yesterday. No attic runs, no crawling through fiberglass, no raccoon eviction notices, just straightforward, clean installs today. Honestly, after yesterday, I half expected to wake up sore, covered in insulation, and finding glitter in my hair from Christmas lights. But nope, I actually slept pretty great last night. My knees are thanking me, my back's thanking me, and Simon, well, he's just happy as always, even though he's still giving us that side eye and watching us pretty closely here. He's a great supervisor. Today, I'm also breaking out the big guns, my Ego fan. This is a Mr. fan, and if you ever spent any time in an amusement park as a child, you probably remember these. You'd walk by that Mr. fan, you'd feel that cool mist hit you, and you just, that's the good stuff. Feels like 10 degrees cooler out here. Nice clean corners, perfect 90-degree turns here using those electrical staples I told you about yesterday. I'll link these in the video description in case you want to pick these up on Amazon also. Now, as we start to move to the final section, this part had me thinking, I got to decide where do I want these lights to end so it looks clean, professional, and intentional. I've got power right there with the pool equipment and the ACs, but I wanted to take advantage of the extra lights and go ahead and take them all the way past the fence and around the front into the courtyard to give us a little bit extra security here. So what I wanted to do is I just stapled these into the corner. You can't see these below the soffit, and I stopped them right here at this gutter. It gave me a really good point to come down behind that gutter, completely hide them, tuck it away. That way when you step back, there's no awkward cutoff point. It just looks like it was built in the house from day one.
All right. I've moved on to the upper level lights, and here's my dilemma. My power is on this wall by the door. So I can start my lights on the opposite side of the brick, run them all the way around the upper soffit, and end them down here at this corner, and that would be perfect because then my light's in there and I'm not having to run electrical. Now the problem with that is going to be, let me climb up here. I'm then going to have a power supply there that needs to then run down the brick, cross over, and go down to the power, which is right there. And while that would work, that is going to be the most noticeable option in terms of having the power cord because of the color of the roof and the brick and the fact that that power cord is white. So if I do that, you're going to see that white power cord as you walk by. It's not going to look nice. It's not going to look as permanent. It's going to look like you've just tacked some lights up there and run an extension cord. So I'm thinking I'm going to go against that option and take the extra effort to run electrical through the hardy board on that side of the house into that attic. Now the problem is this is an additional walk-in attic, and this attic is full of Halloween and Christmas stuff. So all of this would have to come out in order for me to drill through that soffit and then connect to electrical.
So while I sit around and think, well, decisions are being made, and I must say, with a little bit of snarkiness added there.
You know how you're always like, just put it in the attic, put it in the attic. And I'm like, the attic's full.
I mean, that is a fair point, but hey, 100,000 Christmas lights have to go somewhere. Here we are, the home stretch. Now this is the last strand of lights, and we're rolling it out like the red carpet at the Grammys. We're actually lucky on this side of the house. The roof has a nice flatter section and it makes it much more walkable. No awkward balancing acts required. No clinging to the gutters like Spider-Man just to finish this thing up. Same process as before. Peel, stick, repeat. Simple, secure, and it looks clean every single time. Simon can't believe we're actually wrapping this up. Now there's one thing the instructions don't mention, and that's that you'll probably end up with a little extra strand of lights that you don't need. No problem, just cut halfway between the last light you need and the next one. Now important, make sure these things aren't connected to electricity or power when you do this. Once it's trimmed, secure each end of the exposed wires with some electrical tape, and you've got a nice, clean, safe way to finish it off. Look at these, the fruits of our labor, a house that's officially worthy of being featured on the next season of Christmas Light Wars.
You're the better one, still king of I think they look better than the Gemstones.
You heard it there, folks, from my installation helper. He thinks they look better than the $5,000 lights I put on the front of the house. So here's my honest take on the app after setting all this up. It's actually really easy to get going. The setup walks you through everything step by step, updates firmware automatically, found the lights quickly over Wi-Fi, and I was fully operational about 15 minutes. Now where it's lacking, and I really hope Lumary continues improving this, is the overall intuitiveness of the app. My Gemstone Systems app is just easier to navigate, especially when it comes to saving custom settings. Now that's important because you can control each individual light with a system, so having a more polished, DIY-friendly interface I think would really make a huge difference. The good news? This feels like the kind of thing Lumary can continue to improve with updates. The hardware is solid, the lights look fantastic. The app just needs to catch up a little bit and maintain that same level of polish. My final thoughts. I do find the app to be responsive. You can see here, once you push the button, it's near instantaneous, pretty much the same way that my Gemstone light works. I like that you can go in and you can literally select each individual light and you can turn those lights on or off and add them back in. You can change the colors, etc., and you can do that one by one. This is actually a really handy tool if you're going to be using these as architectural lighting, which is what I use my lights for 90% of the year. When my lights aren't running Halloween or Christmas light holiday light shows, they're in architectural mode. They don't just stay dark. So I use what I call a 2 light on and then 5 lights off pattern, and that is where I will turn for every 2 lights that are on in a row, then I will have 5 lights that are off, and then it will repeat that pattern for an architectural look, and then it just becomes a part of my overall landscape lighting, and it looks beautiful. And I have seen and I have found the ability to do that with these Lumary lights. However, the app does not save your DIY custom settings. So when I go in, they view that as custom because I'm going in and I'm customizing the individual lights. And so I hope they catch up with Gemstone in that regards, because Gemstone has a tab called architectural lights, and you can just hit it 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, and it works perfectly. I did not see that functionality in the Lumary app, so got it set up as architectural lights, highlighting the stone and the masonry, but it does not hold that preset. If anything changes on the remote or if I mess something up in the app, I've got to go in and I've got to change all of those lights one by one again.